Hey, what's up? My name's Tristan. I'm a real estate agent. I help agents generate leads and then convert those leads so that their business can boom. In this video, I'm going to share exactly how I took a random buyer that is not motivated at all, turned it into 3 listings in the same neighborhood, and you don't even have to be a good salesman to do the same thing. Let's get into it. Okay, so from the top, I have this buyer. The buyer tells me, we've like literally, if you're a real estate agent, you've all heard this, like,
if the right opportunity came along, I would buy it.
Like we've all heard those people. So I had this guy, he's like, yeah, I'm looking to retire and downsize, you know, if it made sense, if I was the perfect opportunity, I'd buy. He was looking for a ranch and Flowery Branch. I want to be very convicted, because if I'm going to go find him a house, or if I'm going to turn this into 3 listings, I need to be very convicted. I was like, hey, seriously, if I really could find you a good deal that you love, and it's a house you love in the backyard you love, and it's a ranch, would you really actually purchase it? And he's like, yeah, for sure. But we all know, like, this is gonna be the kind of guy that, like, oh, can't buy the house because the grass is too tall. You know, I'm totally cool with it. I was cool with it in this instance because he was motivated. He said he was motivated, and most of Flowery Branch is exactly what he's looking for. So what does that do? That gives me a reason to cold call and door knock my entire city. And so I was like, yeah, dude, you're the perfect buyer, even though I know he's never gonna buy. And so this neighborhood that I wanted to be in actually has a few ranches. So I said, huh, this is perfect. I can go ask them if they're willing to sell and be 100% convicted that this guy would really consider buying their house. I door knocked all the ranches in this neighborhood. One was actually willing to sell his house. I asked him, I said, hey, are you willing to sell your house? He said yes. And I said, look, to be 100% honest with you, the buyer that I have in mind would really buy your house, but it needs to be perfect. He's super picky. The odds of it working out are pretty slim to none. However, if this buyer doesn't work out, I can show you how much we can put your house on the market for. And he was like, oh, perfect. So either way, he's accomplishing his goal, which is selling the house. And me, it gives me a real reason, 2 things, to get inside of his house and tell the buyer, hey, I'm door knocking for you. I'm working hard for you. And if it doesn't work out, it gives me a real reason to say, hey, this buyer didn't work out, but I can get you this much on the market. And that's exactly what happened. I reach out to my buyer. They absolutely love it, but he hated the backyard. So I told the seller, hey, look, man, buyer's not interested. He loves the house, but doesn't love the backyard. And then I said, well, look, this is how much we can get on the market. I'll just go ahead and list it. Pretty sumptuous on the sale. I didn't ask like, hey, would you mind listing it? I was just like, this is what we're gonna do. And he was like, okay, cool, sounds good. So we listed his house. We're having tons and tons of showings, but all of these buyers also hate the backyard. And some of these people are looking at all the houses inside the neighborhood. They just want to be in this neighborhood because it's a really nice neighborhood. So what does that tell me? There are buyers who want to be in the neighborhood that just don't like this backyard. So I cold call the whole neighborhood and I will go looking for another house to sell them into. And you're probably like, where do I get those lists? Where do I get the names? Where do I get the numbers? I use a dialer service. It's called Espresso Agent. It's like Vulcan, RedX, Mojo, they're all the same. Espresso Agent's the best. It gives you like the best data. I'll leave the link down below in the description, but I call every single person in the neighborhood. And then I say, here's my script. Hey, what's up? It's Tristan with EXP. I'm calling about Summit Lake. You got like 30 seconds, and Summit Lake is the neighborhood. And they're always like, what, who is this guy? Like what, they'll say like, what'd you say? Where are you from? Or what are you calling about? Like no matter what they say, I'm just like, look, no worries. I have this house listed for sale on Trumpet Flower Avenue. Have you seen the for sale sign? And then they'll always say like, yes, no. Again, no matter what they say, like, sorry, look, no worries. I have tons of buyers who love the house, love the neighborhood. They just hate the backyard. Any chance that you've thought about selling? So again, it doesn't even matter what they say. You can just turn off your brain and then still reply the same way every single time. And then this guy answered and he said, you know, I actually do need to move because of XYZ, this situation that's going on. And I said, perfect. What I would like to do is take some photos, videos of your house with your formal written permission and send it to all the buyers and buyers agents to see if that's something they'd be interested in. And if the buyers don't work out, this is how much we can get on the market. So we're gonna try to get these buyers first. If this doesn't work out, then I'll just go ahead and list your house. And he was like, okay, cool, perfect. Again, an sumptuous sale. Like I didn't even ask him. I was like, if this doesn't work out, we will list for this much. And he said, okay, cool. Yeah, sounds good. So I reach out to all those buyers legitimately. I text all the buyers agents, text them all. And I say, hey, have you considered this house? Pretty much everyone said no, because again, my first house was a ranch. This one is now a 2nd story. I said, hey, look, no one's really interested in your house because they must have been looking for the ranches, but we can just go ahead and list it for this much. He's like, okay, cool, sounds good. So we list his house. Now I have 2 in the same neighborhood. So then once his goes live, I do a coming soon. It's probably my best coming soon I've ever done in my life. I had tons of people texting me saying, hey, can we see the house before it's ready? This guy was not ready to sell early. So what do? I cold call the whole neighborhood again. And I say, I have so many people who are hitting me up who want to buy this house, but my seller's not really ready. Would you consider selling yours? Because these guys are ready to go. They're hot and ready, qualified. He's just not willing to sell his yet. And then one person hung up on me. And so I called him right back and I said, did you hang up on me or did we get disconnected? And he's like, oh, ha ha ha. I thought you were like an AI robo spam bot or something. And I was like, oh, no, I'm actually being serious. You know, I really have this person. He's like, oh yeah, we have considered, you know, selling. My wife is actually dragging me to all these new construction because they want to see, she wants to move. She wants a bigger house because we have a growing family. I was like, okay, perfect. Well, what I would like to do is take some photos and videos with your written formal permission and send it to all the buyers that are interested. And he was like, oh, cool. And I was like, awesome. Would today or tomorrow work? And he said, oh yeah, just come on today. And I said, awesome. So I came by, looked at his house. So then I reached out to all the buyers that were interested in this other 2-story house. And I said, hey, I have another one that's willing to sell right now, you know, with the right offer. This is how much we would ask for on the market. They come by, they said, oh my gosh, this is perfect. They submitted what would have been a full price offer if we were on the market without any showings and never went on the market. My seller obviously accepted. And then guess what? Now he's homeless. He has no home to live in. We need to go under contract very quickly. So his wife, like he said, has been taking him to some new construction homes. We found him one that he might like, submitted an offer, they accepted. Well, that turned into 2 transactions, and then those just closed. So now we're up to speed. This other guy is still coming soon. He's gonna be selling his house soon. And actually that first ranch actually just sold as well. So now we're up to date. Now guess what I'm gonna do again? I'm gonna call the whole neighborhood and ask if anyone else is willing to sell because these 2 other houses sold and this is how much this one sold for, this is how much this one sold for. Isn't that crazy? And they're gonna say, oh my gosh, it is kind of crazy. And then maybe find another one. So to full circle the moment, I had a random buyer that I knew was not motivated. And I was very clear up front with that first person. Look, this person may not work out. They're not really motivated. They're not like, it's just probably not gonna work out, but this is what we can get on the market. He's like, okay, cool, don't really care. So I turned a buyer who's not motivated at all into now 3 listings and actually 4 sales because that guy had to sell then buy. And then this other guy will have to sell then buy. And actually that first house we just sold, but he's gonna buy next year. So that's 6 transactions from one buyer that's like, I'd kind of buy, you know, just like kind of on the fence. We all have those buyers. So then it's like, do I just let this buyer come to me when they're ready? Or do I take action and see what I can get out of this one buyer and leverage this one buyer into maybe 6 transactions? So you're probably thinking like, oh, this has to be a fluke, or I don't cold call, I only door knock, whatever it is. I have another story for you, how I took over another neighborhood. And this is actually the exact opposite, where the neighborhood I just told you about, I door knocked the first house and cold called the rest. This next neighborhood I'm gonna tell you about, I cold called the first house and door knocked the rest. So whatever method you prefer, it works for both. It doesn't really matter. So the way I got into this neighborhood was through a for sale by owner. He was trying to sell his house, for sale by owner. He was on the market for like 30 days. He got an offer for $380,000. He was gonna take it and I said, don't take it, I can make you more money. So in order to help market his house, I did an open house. I door knocked the whole neighborhood for the open house, passing out flyers. I didn't sell anybody on anything. Knocked on the door. I said, hey, what's up? Do you see that house down there? Yeah, I'm selling that one. We have an open house this Sunday from 2 to 4. I would love for you to come, be a nosy neighbor. I don't bring some beer, bring some wine. Let's have a party. Just have some fun. And they're like, oh, okay, ha ha ha. I'll be like, hey, I'm Tristan. What's your name? And they tell me their name. Like, awesome, on to the next one. Sometimes they want to start a conversation. I'll talk until they're done talking. And then when they're done, I leave. I never ask them for anything on the open house door knock. Then I finish the whole neighborhood, no more door knocking. That house goes under contract, but we had 2 offers, which means one person can have the house. Another person is looking to buy in the neighborhood. Again, it's a cookie cutter type neighborhood. So what do? I go door knocking the whole neighborhood again, and I knock on the doors and I say, hey, that house just went under contract for a lot of money, which is good for you to know. But also there was 2 buyers, only one can have the house. Can I send the other one your way? And they would be like, no, we're not gonna sell. Cause like I didn't ask them to sell their house. I just said, can I send that buyer your way? So they weren't like rude about it. Plus I already talked to them. They already knew who I was and I kind of knew their name. We made, you know, whatever. And so then they're like, no, I'm good. I'm not selling yet, or I'm not gonna do it yet. And I was like, okay, no worries. You have a good day. Go up to the next one. And eventually somebody was like, yeah, actually, I didn't realize that's how much houses were selling for in this neighborhood. Yeah, send them my way. I was like, awesome. What I would like to do is take some photos and videos with your formal permission and send it to them. And if they like it, well then obviously they just buy it. If they don't like it, then this is how much we can list your house for. And they're like, perfect, sounds good. So I took some photos and videos and sent it to them. The buyer's agent told me that the buyers didn't like it. So I go back to the seller and say, hey, they didn't like it for this reason, but this is how much we can get on the market. They said, perfect, sounds good. So I list their house. So then what do I need to do to sell his house? Another open house. So the house goes live, we have an open house, and then I go door knock the whole neighborhood again for the open house. And I say, I got another one down the street. And they're like, oh my gosh, no way. And I'm like, yeah, we have another open house this weekend. I would love for you to come. Again, don't sell them on anything. This one goes under contract. This one did not have multiple offers, but guess what it did have? Multiple showings, multiple. So then I reach out to some of the agents that have the buyers that didn't like the house. And I said, hey, what did they not like the house for? They said, oh, we just didn't like the lot, whatever it is. And I said, okay, no worries. So then I think to myself like, a lot of these people love the house, but not the lot again. So I door knock the whole neighborhood again. And remember, I'm starting to learn these people's names. I'm coming with nothing like, yo, Marlon, it's Tristan, what's up, man? How are you? And they're like, oh yeah, what's up, man? Any good news? And I'm like, yeah, you know what? This one just went under contract, but I have a ton of showings, and one of these people really likes the house, but just doesn't like the lot. Any chance I can send them your way? And then they're like, well, I'm not thinking about buying, or I'm not thinking about selling, I'm not thinking about moving, interest rates, like whatever it is. I'm not even trying to overcome any objections at all. Not even being a salesman. I'm just like, yeah, no worries. Hey, you have a good one. I'll see you later. But eventually somebody was like, yeah, actually I would. I didn't know that's how much that floor plan would sell for. I have a very similar floor plan. So then I was like, well, how about this? How about I send some photos and videos with your formal written permission to the buyer's agent to see if their buyers like it. And if they don't like it, then we can put it on the market for this much. And they're like, oh, sounds great. I'm excited. So then I went, took some photos and videos, send it to the buyer's agent. The buyer's agent said that they don't like the paint color, they don't like the backyard. And so then I go to them, I said, hey, look, they're not interested because of XYZ. They want something that's move-in ready. They don't want to deal with any of this stuff, but this is how much we can get on the market. And they're like, awesome, sounds good, let's list it. So then I list their house, and then guess what I gotta do to sell their house? An open house, right? And so for the open house, again, I go door knock through the whole neighborhood. And by this time I know everyone's name. I mean, honestly, it's 100 houses in this neighborhood, which pro tip, if you're watching this far, this is like probably the best pro tip. Don't go after the neighborhoods with tons and tons of houses because every other agent does that. They already try to farm those areas. I focus on like 200 or less, or like really 50 to 200 houses in the neighborhoods because nobody really farms those. Everyone thinks, oh, those are a waste of time. Those are the perfect ones to be in because there's no other competition trying to fight for those neighborhoods. I finished door knocking the whole neighborhood. And then guess what? This one closes with 3 offers, multiple offers. So then what do you think I do? I go to the whole neighborhood again. And this is kind of the present day now where I have 2 other people who are going to be considering selling in the next 6 months. Then guess what? Whenever I sell their house, I'll door knock again for the open house and door knock again when it closes and just keep circle farming. That's where you get circle prospecting. Just keep going through the whole neighborhood and just taking over a neighborhood. So to full circle that moment in this story is I turned this one FISBO who was going to take an offer for $380, ended up making him $392 after paying me, and turned that into another listing, and that listing into another listing, and then that listing into potentially 2 more the next 6 months, which is now present time. I metaphorically own 2 neighborhoods. No one else touches these. These are my neighborhoods. I know everyone, they all know me. We keep up, I keep up with them. It's kind of like, now it's just a snowball effect that you just can't stop. That's how you leverage the smallest, terriblest, worst lead ever into something awesome. So before we end the video, I'm gonna tell you about this call. I do a call every single Thursday from 10:30 to 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. It's a broker agnostic. It doesn't really matter what company you're with. People joining on this call, they have questions about how do I circle prospect this? Or how do I door knock this? Or how do I cold call? And we role play through that or talk about that every single Thursday from 10:30 to 11:30. I would love to have you there. Click the link down below. My phone number is 770-519-8145. I literally answer my phone all the time. Like if you text me and I can't call you, I will text you and say, hey, I can't call right now, but I can call in an hour, or I'll call you tomorrow morning. So if you need help with anything, I'll literally just help you free of charge. I don't pay you a dime, or you can just come to the call. Either way, it doesn't matter. See ya.